Hey guys, welcome back to another Gaming Memories video. Here we are taking a look at another Japanese racing game by the name of Touge Max 2 that was developed by Cave Entertainment and published by Atlas back in 1998. This game is the second in the Touge Max series of games that was released only within the Japanese region, mainly apart from the first game. The first game in the series did get a re-release in other regions under the name of Peak Performance, but the sequels Touge Max 2 and Touge Max G were released only in the Japanese region. Straight away from the get-go, if you've played the first game in the series, you will know the visual style of the game. The graphics were very reflective of that early period of arcade games on the PlayStation 1. They were very cartoony like, but Touge Max 2 is a completely different visual game. It looks completely different to its predecessor in every way, to a point that the visuals are more lifelike and realistic, not just with the environments but also in the cars in general. The car models are more reflective and more representable of the actual branded cars of that time, with the likes of the Mazda RX-7, the Mitsubishi FTO, even the Honda NSX, and most of the main cars that are in the game do look very like their lifelike counterparts. The game itself also does host a number of big name branded cars, but not just from the JDM market or in the Japanese market, but also from outside in Europe, which does add a little bit more character to the game. One of the main things to note about this game is the fact is that with the cars that are available, there are some quite unique and very rare cars that are in this game that you don't really see in other racing games. Some of them would be an example of the Austin Mini Cooper. You would even have a Fiat 500, a Honda CRX, an Isuzu Gemini, even a Nissan Primera, even a 1990 Nissan Pulsar, even a Toyota Starlet GT Turbo, which in itself is quite rare to see these type of cars in any type of racing game. You don't really see them. So this game does present a really good opportunity to be able to play and gain access to some very unique and rare cars that you may not have even heard of. The visuals in the game also, with regards to the cars and the environments, are quite impressive and offer a lot in terms of its features. Even with the cars themselves, they have their own unique handling characteristics and capabilities. Some starting off at a low level where they are quite nippy and fast, but eventually you will be able to gain access to faster, more high-powered engine cars, the likes of the Toyota Supra, Honda NSX, Nissan Skyline, and among other cars also, so that you can progress through the stages. Now, not all of the cars in the game are available from the start, so you do have to play through the campaign and unlock all of the additional cars and features as you go through the campaign. The game does also have a lot of unlockable cars that are unique to the game itself. You have anything from like a Formula 1 race car, even to a very rare racing spec 1998 Nissan R390 GT1, even a Nissan Cel80. You can even get access to a Ford Escort RS Cosworth, and there's some very rare and unique vehicles in this game. You can even drive the likes of a digger and even like a robotic type vehicle, even a tank, and then other types of work related vehicles like lorries and even miniature type cars, even three-wheel buggy. There's a lot of cool ideas in this game, giving you access to not only mainstream cars but to a lot of quirky vehicles that also adds to the fun and the replayability of the game. And in terms of the visuals, the graphics are very impressive and they're very lifelike. You can race on different types of tracks, anything from mountain environments all the way to like off-road racing environments and even city style areas, each with their own unique quirks and characteristics. And the handling is very reflective of the environment that you're racing on, as each track presents their own unique challenges in terms of different areas that you have to overcome, different types of turns. Everything gets more complicated and more difficult with each race, and even with the difficulty of the tracks in question as you're playing through the game, the computer AI also presents an adequate challenge. It can be quite difficult to win races when you first start the game. It does take a while to get familiar with the track layouts, and if you do make mistakes, especially when you go off the track, it heavily slows the car down to a point that when the opponents on track get ahead of you, it can be very hard to catch up with them. but like with a lot of these games, the more you practice it, the better you will get over time. The game also has a very unique arcade style element to it on top of the visual graphics and style, which is very unique to its concept. And when you compare it to the original game in the series, like I mentioned, there is no comparison really in terms of the visuals and how the game handles. It's a very, very different style of game. You'd almost think that it's a totally different series altogether. And again, this is one of those type of games that was released only in Japan that you may not have ever heard of. There are some unique features that are really cool about this game, even when you look at the visual environments and the backdrops. But even the animations of the cars themselves, even with the likes of the pops and bangs from the exhaust when you see the flames coming out of the exhaust of the car during the race, that's a really nice touch, and it really adds to the sense of speed and gives you a feel that the car that you're driving is very aggressive. So this would be a good opportunity to play something that is quite different and quite unique. Yes, it does present a challenge, but it is a worthwhile playthrough. And if you're into racing games, this is another really good game that is worth checking out, in my opinion. As I am getting to explore a lot more of these unique and quirky racing games that were released only in Japan, the more I'm finding that there is a lot more games out there that I didn't even think existed, but there's also very little information around a lot of these games. When you do go trying to look and do a bit of research online, even on the search engines and Google, there's very, very little information. Nobody really seems to know much about anything about most of these games. So I'm hoping by making videos like this that it'll give people an idea of the type of games that they are. But also a lot of people may not even know that these games even exist, and they are worthwhile playing. And having spent time playing the game myself, like I mentioned, some of the characteristics, the game is difficult to master when you first start playing it, but the more I've gotten into it, the more I really like it. I really like the visual style, I really like the selection of cars that are available, and even as you go through the game you do unlock better and faster cars as you go through the game. Some cars are easier to pick up and use than others, but it really all depends on your play style. But there are enough vehicles in the game to warrant that, and there's definitely enough really cool and unique vehicles to choose from, even a lot of hidden and quirky and obscure type vehicles that will also add to the fun. From having played this game, for me it is one of the better visually impressive games that's also on the PlayStation 1. And if you're in the market for a different style of racing game and something that is a bit unique and quirky that visually is very good, especially for a PS1 game, then Touge Max 2 is definitely worth a look. And I'd love to know what your thoughts are of this game, if you have played it yourself, and if so, what do you think of it? Did you enjoy it, or did you find it difficult to play? I'd love to hear your thoughts, and be sure to share them down in the comments below. And as always, if you have enjoyed this video and you'd like to see more of these different type of videos where I am exploring similar style racing games that were released in the Japan region only, then be sure to leave a like on the video. Again, subscribe to the channel and hit that bell icon to be updated whenever future videos are released. Also be sure to check out some of the other videos on the channel where I have provided other reviews and gameplay videos of similar style games on the PS1, where I share my thoughts and experience with everyone. So as always, make sure to keep playing those classic games and enjoying them, and keep those gaming memories alive.